All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prison Bosses. Today, man, I am super duper excited. I got one of my guys, comrade, someone that I've known for a couple of years now. Just a quick backstory. I was actually introduced to this brother and his work through my human resource manager at the time, Miss Vanessa. And she had made reference that she had seen Jody, this brother, at a speaking on a panel, and he was associated with Cornell and just talking about what they were doing in the reentry space. And she was like, Trent, you gotta get in touch with this guy. And so I'm like, all right, cool, it's cool, whatever. So then I start following him on Instagram. I'm like, oh, all right, I like his vibe. Then I'm seeing what he's doing, and then naturally, I can't remember how we first touched base, but me and his brother got in touch, and we've been locked in ever since. And so, a couple of things, as I mentioned, first point of contact was this brother, just the work he's doing at Cornell. From starting to establish a relationship, starting to find out that he's going to Stanford. He's working, it's created a tech agency called Resume, and just doing so much amazing stuff in the space post incarceration. And so it's with great excitement that I introduce you to my good friend Jody Anderson. And I'm hopeful. Matter of fact, I'm confident and I know that in today's episode, you will be provided with so many jewels and knowledge so you can help shift your trajectory as well. And so with that being said, my brother Jody, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Trent. I appreciate you, man, and thanks for the lovely introduction, man. I feel like, especially this year, you helped kick us off, man. I think the very first event that we went to was in upstate New York at that huge consortium of community colleges and state agencies all in one spot, and then it's just been a roller coaster ever since, man.
I love it. I love to hear that, bro. Been a roller coaster since. And so, Jody, for the listeners, let's rewind a little bit. We're not gonna spend too much time here, but can you mind tell them where you're from and just a little bit about your backstory that led to your incarceration?
Oh, for sure. I'm from New York, of course, man. See, Trent. You got that Yankee fitted
You
on.
dig?
Well, really from New York, but I spent my formative years all over the country. So I
Mm,
was raised by my grandfather. He was a Korean War vet. He was in the Navy, so he got stationed in New Mexico. So I spent a few years, a few years in Albuquerque, not Area 51. Really stuff. Spent some time in Dallas, Texas, Virginia, Tennessee, like you name it. Just moving all up and down the country. My grandfather had a pretty early death, sailor's death, and then
mm,
I returned to live with my birth mother. I think that's the first time I realized what it meant to be young, black, and
mm,
impoverished in America, basically. So we're in and out of
mm.
foster care homes, etc. And the last time we were in foster care, it was in Brooklyn, like the real Brooklyn, that
Mm.
style Brooklyn, you know?
Right, right, right. The real Brooklyn.
Right now, I see they put like cats in strollers and feed them Similac and all that. I was coming to Brooklyn. I live on 105 Herkimer and Nostrand. Went to PS 93. Shout out to 93 for sure. And my foster brother, he was getting it. Like, I mean, that was the economy. And so he basically hired me. I was like 9, 10 years old, and that was
Hey.
my first introduction into the life. And
Mm,
because I was good at school, like um, from the very beginning, read, write, count, trustworthy, etc. I did very well in that world too.
mm, mm,
And so, like 4 years later, you're going through your journey. I eventually made it back to like upstate New York because my mother, she got her health together, and so they returned us there. So that's really why I jumped off the porch, like really kind of,
copy, copy.
yeah, became who I am. And then 4 years later, and then people came, everybody in that house. We're all like young. I
I
think
was
the
gonna
oldest
say.
kid, maybe 18, maybe,
Mm,
maybe,
mm.
right? So we all went to juvenile prison. I ended up getting like a 237, caught another like seven.
Wait. You got a two and a third to seven while you were like
Yeah.
12, 13?
I was like 15 at this time. Yeah, I was like
Dang.
15 at this time. Yeah, yeah.
Wicked.
They charged
Wicked.
me as an adult. Yeah. Me and the rest of my brothers. I think everybody got charged as an adult.
Mm. And then you said you caught a 7 year
Yeah, that's a
associated with that? That was
yeah.
associated with that whole thing?
Yeah, it's because I feel like you know, upstate New York, they got like smaller towns, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. You become pretty infamous pretty quickly, right?
Facts.
And then all
That's
the
a fact.
activities, right? You just
Yep.
get associated with everything that happened. And so, yeah, that was a situation there.
So how
And
much years in total did you get sentenced to?
like a seven, seven. It had to be like 9 on the front end, like 14 on the back. Then I had like all that post release stuff. It was crazy. I ended up doing 10 out the whole thing.
You did 10?
Yeah, I did 10. I did 10. So from 15 to 25.
That's when you came home at 25. So real
25.
quick, question for you then, especially as someone who experienced foster care,
Yeah.
and then youth incarceration, which led into adult incarceration essentially. Do you really feel like foster care and those kind of systems are a pipeline for incarceration as
Oh,
built?
yeah, but I'm only laughing about it now to prevent myself from crying, man, live on the call. But
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm with you.
you come from a broken home and then you're put in a system, which basically
Mm,
you're warehoused at first until they find you a home. Like you're
mm,
sleeping in like a dorm. They strip you of whatever like clothing you had. They give you a uniform, like all that. And like once you get into the system, it's the same thing. It's like a minimum secure prison. That's what it
mm,
felt like, right? And all the
mm.
kids have already gone through a bunch of stuff, already had either their parents taken away from them or seen some like real trauma, not like
Right,
snowflake
right,
trauma,
right.
real trauma. Kids that went through like horrible things, man, in America, and so they have that and they're dealing with that, and then you have staff that are strangers, like they don't know you,
Mm,
right? You're just like another number to them, and then you get placed in homes, and some of those homes are like predatory, right?
mm.
Right? Because they're not
That's a
putting you in
fact.
the suburbs, right? A home, good family, maybe sometimes, but like that's not the destination for everybody. Like yeah. So
Oh,
and
that's
then
real, bro.
I think the wildest part, Trent, was in sixth grade. My teacher, she had told me and some of the guys. I mean, we all became the guys later on, but this is before all that. She said, "All y'all are going to prison."
Mm, mm.
Right? We all went to prison. Like we all seen each other, right? Yeah. So same cohort from group homes of force. We kept seeing each other, living the projects, all that. I mean, from like Brooklyn to the Bronx. I've
Yep,
been everywhere. And
yep.
even like Albany, Schenectady, Troy, all that, right? Poughkeepsie, we all ended up in prison, right?
Fact.
No
Mm,
surprise, no surprise.
no surprise.
No
And I would
surprise.
even imagine some of those brothers who haven't been able to break the cycle, if you were still in that kind of time, and you might run into them right now inside of some prison or place, just the way the system is, to be
Yeah,
quite honest, you know?
no, what's
So,
up?
so my question for you, I guess, is because I know a lot of our listeners might have similar stories, many of which have gone through foster care or got incarcerated young. For you, when was the aha moment and the change started to click for you? Did it happen while you were incarcerated as a youth, in your 20s, when you came home, or did it actually start in one of those institutions?
Yeah, I think I had two phases to be completely honest. Like I've always been precocious, so like go with, like numbers, right? 'Cause my grandfather, if, if you got anybody in the military in your family, we all know how aggressive they are about everything.
Hmm. Hmm. Everything. Everything.
Militant, all that, like they give you history lessons, right? And so like he really taught me like everything I know academically, and I think that discipline, even though I got into the life, that carried me through like
Facts.
every
Facts.
situation I found myself in. And so
Facts.
even when I landed in juvie for the first time, like school was like relatively easy to me, right? Not easy, but it was something that I was good at. You gotta work for everything. I work hard for everything. And so we were, because we were in juvie, we had to go to school,
Yep.
and so there are always these statewide exams that like you take. And I know every listener is gonna be like, "Yeah, I remember those exams." It's
Hmm.
a high stress day, and we're competing with a real school district because like
Right.
we're actual
Right.
students, even though we're incarcerated. Smoke, smoked them. I think like a 95 or a 96 on like one of these Regents exams, like on the
Hmm.
science. And once that happened, I did it again for social studies. And I think I got like a 88 in math. Retook it, got like a 93. Like
Hey,
after
killer.
like after that happened, yeah, then I'm like, this is still in me, like competitively.
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, and then even the guards inside the juvenile prison, they started responding to me different. right?
Mm.
And that was in my mind. Okay, there might be something here, right? And of course, the bros that we all locked up with, like, they always knew like my mind worked, because that's how you put plays together. That's how you, get in and out
Right.
of situations. So it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
like, yeah, I always do Jody put something together, but then to have the rest of the world, the civilian world, respond like, oh, that was different for me. So that was like the first cue, right? And then of course my
Mm.
grandfather was always big on academics and being militant and all that. That helped to crystallize my mind.
Combination. Hmm.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like I was still a crash out. Nothing really, even as I was getting like knowledge of self, like throughout that whole process, like reading books, reading the right material, like it still didn't click, right? Because we're still young, we're still trying to
Hmm.
become
Hmm.
him or what we think that person is, and
Yep.
it wasn't until I landed right in the maxes, like upstate New York, where and then it really clicked for me, because then I met my heroes and they had 100 years, 200 years, triple life, like,
Damn.
right, and
Damn.
seeing that was like, oh, this, like, there's a ceiling. This never is good.
Mm.
When you're
Never
in
is
juvie,
good.
you never, like, even you trip. Like, I didn't even, like, I lived disconnected at some point, but I never ran into you, right?
Facts. Yep.
I was like younger, so I never got a chance to cross paths with you. But
Hmm.
like the legend that you guys had established in that region, right? There's a lot of like crossover between like downstate, upstate, etc. That footprint y'all had, like, that influenced the next generation. But we never get to meet you and hear the other story, like, yo, it
You're
went
right.
left.
You're
It
right.
went,
You're
right?
right.
Yes. And then we go to juvie and we still don't meet you there. We got to go to prison and catch a case, or go to the feds and catch a real case to
Facts.
finally meet y'all. And then be like, oh, I didn't even know that's what happened on the back. And I didn't even know it,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so by that time, it's usually too late,
It
right?
is. Yep.
I think
Yep.
that's when it clicked for me, like meeting some of the gentlemen who helped like establish the culture for the streets, and then them telling me
Yeah.
personally like, yeah, this don't end well. And luckily, I didn't
This
have
ain't it. Yep.
I didn't have a ton of time. Even though it seems like a lot, I didn't have a lot of time compared to everybody else. Like, they were telling me, man, you get out in like 6 years, you get out in 7 more years. Like, and to me, I was like, 7 more years, but they're like, yeah, like, cause I'm never getting out of here. Like, even if the cases I gotta beat after the one that I'm in here for right now. So that really put in my mind, like, okay, it's a these are the heroes of our generation. Like, and they're telling
Mm.
me that I gotta find a way to like pivot out of here.
Got it. Yo, nah, that's powerful, bro. And I wanna, for the listener, I think it's important that you understand the magnitude of that, because I could see parallels with your aha moment with my aha moment. Mine just happened while I was incarcerated in Green, and I took college courses at Marist, and I got the highest grades in the campus while or inside of the prison. So just like you, that's when it was like, damn, if I wasn't fucking around this whole time and looking for the easy way out, I could have been in a Harvard or in a Duke, like, because this thing really works. But we find that out in our 20s a lot of times, you know. And but for the listeners, I want you to know, just because we found that out in the 20s doesn't mean that it's too late. That just means we might have had a later start than some people who identified that when they were 18, 17. But it doesn't mean it's too late, and it's never too late to change your circumstance. And so you get released now. You've done some personal development. You're 25 years old. Your mind is you got some knowledge of self. I heard you reference that. You had some mentorship because you said you were in there with some of the heroes. So now you get released at 25, and what's it like for you?
It was. I think my release back into society was also strange too. Like, it allowed me to see what the system actually has in store for us.
Mm,
I
mm.
I yeah, I ended up getting my GED at like 16 in juvie, and then started a college program at like 17, so super early, and then graduated. We'll say graduated for lack of a better term, to maximum adult spot. And Cornell had a prison education program. So
Mm,
Warren Buffett's
mm.
sister ended up giving like $5 million to Cornell University to run like a degree granting program, which is crazy. No, exactly.
Fire. That's fire. Yeah, that's fire. Okay.
So I'm coming right out the box, and just landing at Auburn, right? Auburn's got some rich
Hmm.
history,
Yep.
and then I'm landing there and hear about this program that they got in this college program. I'm like, can't be real. There's no way. First, I'm hearing the names. Okay, you're
Right.
telling me. the Buffets. It tell me like Cornell. It's like Auburn. Like, come on, man. No way.
Like
I'm
this
never
ain't
getting.
real. Right, right.
Yeah. And that it was real. Like people, I seen people like we're in the yard lifting weights, etc. And I see people actually going to school. Yeah, like some of them guys like actually going to school. I'm like, oh, that might actually be real. So I studied, took a test, got in, broke every record, like every record.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I was always a little younger than everybody too, so I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like 10 or something like that. Cornell started like advocating like with like the government to like get me out of prison like 6 years early. So that's how I get out and don't do. I didn't do it on time. I ended up making like all that just because like what was in my mind. Yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
so is that how you ended up at Cornell post
yeah.
incarceration,
Post
like
incarceration.
employed?
Yeah, yeah. Like post incarceration. Yeah, yeah.
Yo, oh, so speak to that then. So you went through the college program, they helped you get out, and then they even employ you?
Yeah. And this is even before the employment part. Like I went there as like as a student for like undergrad too.
Okay,
Yeah, for a little
okay.
bit. Yeah, before I transferred. Yeah, but even as I had all that laid out, like okay, I graduated from the prison education program through Cornell, became valedictorian, highest
Mm,
GPA. They get the
mm,
government, however they do that,
speak
to
that.
get me out on early release for educational attainment. And then as I'm speaking to the warden, because they got to give you your good time back,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Well, they
yep.
don't have to. Clear, I figured that out. I'm talking
Uh,
to him. Okay, all this is set up. I made my board. Like, can you give me some of that? Can you give me some of that back? And he's like, nah, like, nah. And he's like, and I don't believe you. Like, all this is happening. I'm like, this program is
wow,
in your prison. Like, how can I make this up? Like, you see me graduate. I think, like, I gave a speech, man. Like, you guys were all there. And I was like, here are my transcripts. Here's the plan. Here's the letters. Here's the board recommendation. And I'm like, I want to, can I like parole straight to Ithaca? So that's where Cornell University's main campus is at. And he's like, no, like, you got to go back to your area of commitment. So back to the trenches. I was like, why would you do that? And so yeah, he was like, you gotta go back there. And I'm like,
wicked.
nah, I have a whole plan and like a reentry pathway. And like I'm on this path. Mind you, I think I'm 24 at that point, about to turn 25. And I'm just seeing him like really like try to derail, no disrespect because he's
Hmm.
locked. That's just where his mind is at. Like he doesn't even realize what he's doing, right?
Yep,
He's just
just
following the protocol, and the
just
protocol
following the
says,
system. That's right.
yeah,
That's right. Yep,
influence people.
yep,
And
yep.
because he couldn't even think that, like, of course he really graduated because I was at the graduation.
Right, right. How did you can't make this stuff up? Like, come on. You can't make
So,
a
like, that's how I
transcript
know
up.
they're just reading a script. They're just reading a
Facts,
script. Like, there's no
facts.
thinking involved in some of these cases. And so he was like, well, if you don't, like, cooperate with it, I'll put you in the worst situation. And I'm like,
Mm,
put me in the worst situation. They sent me to a halfway house. Yeah, in Albany. It's crazy. So that's how it started. And then like every day I had to go down to parole, make calls, like activate the network to get me transferred to Ithaca to actually start school again. Missed the deadline for school, right? Which I guess is their plan. So I didn't even get to enroll in time. And so I started auditing a bunch of classes. I'm just because I know professors there, I know people there. I'm just gonna like compete, like because I know this is the way like out of this whole system, right? And into the next kind of
facts, facts.
run of society, right? Because they got a system too, by the way.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So I just started taking a ton of courses, and then I worked for the debate program, so the Forensic Speech and Society program, and so I ended up getting a job with that. And then once I seen that the network was really, surrounding this like movement, but in society, not just behind the wall, but in society, and then I was really competitive on the outside with like people who come from good families, right?
Right,
That had the
right.
best training in the world, and I'm really getting busy with them. Then I was like, I'm gonna transfer. And I put in my transfer to go to Stanford that same
Mm,
year, like 9 months later.
mm, mm. Yo, and you said you unpacked a lot. Couple of things I want the listeners to identify is sometimes you might have a plan and the plan gets derailed. And honestly, I find that happens more times than not. And you know what I mean? Like just being totally truthful. And so like I think Mike Tyson said it, like everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face. And
Yeah,
that's life. Like we all got a plan and some shit happens and now we scrambling. But the scramblers who are able to bounce back up from that punch in the face and get back to a new plan and pivot and making sure your plan B is always in support of your plan A. Not a new
Yeah,
plan, it's just
yeah,
supporting the main plan. And
that's
that's
real.
exactly what you did. Like you literally you stuck to your plan. You said, no, fuck it. If I can't get it, I'm gonna audit these classes. I'm gonna still stay connected. I'm gonna do everything I need to do to make sure I'm pursuing this goal. And eventually you get exactly where you say you're supposed to be. So for our listeners, don't become discouraged when your plans get derailed. Understand that it's just part of the game. There's no straight lines in this shit. This shit goes all over the place. It's up to you to connect those dots. And
Yeah,
so now you're at Stanford.
that's true. That's true. That's true. And it was wild too because there were people who didn't believe. I think at this point, like Cornell had to be like top 15,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe
Mm-hmm.
13 at the time. There were individuals who they would think, "Oh, you're just street smart, right? You're just like
Mm,
you're
mm,
one of those like prison
mm.
scholars, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
right?"
Yup.
And even getting into Cornell University, people are like, "Oh, that's only because they like supported you and they feel like bad for you. You're like a charity case." There's all
Yeah,
that, and
you're the
for people,
DEI. You're the
yeah,
DEI pick. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
They were even like,
yeah.
"Oh, you don't even have to like take like because sometimes they waive like the testing requirements, and they're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like you don't even have to like test to get in." And so that's all in my mind. And so if you come from the culture, there's a lot of pride in like us as like a people,
Facts.
no matter what
Facts.
we've been through, because we somehow are still surviving, still here. So there's something to be said about that. For all the atrocities of humanity, we happen to, still be the descendants of the winners,
That's a fact.
and
Fact.
so I'm hearing all this in my mind, and this is supposed to be a celebratory moment, return to society, going to Cornell, but that's not how it's being described on the other side of the equation. And so I immediately start thinking, okay, well, what's the most competitive academic institution in the country? And then I'll just go there. You got the Harvards and the Stanfords of the world, and you got a test to get into those, right? And so I'm like, okay, so what's the
Give
test?
me that test. Yeah, give me that test. Let me show you what I can do.
That was a huge part of it. Yeah, and at this point, Stanford may have had like a 4% acceptance rate, and then the transfer in
Damn.
Stanford University it's like less than 1%.
Mm,
So the transfer is even harder. Like to come from a different school and transfer in, so it's like below 1%. And we like those odds.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
Yeah,
give us a shot to bet on ourselves every time. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
There's any
yeah.
percent of a chance, that's more than we've ever been given anyway, right?
That's it.
So also
Give me
there
the
is a
chance.
chance. Yeah,
That's
we
a
get that.
fact.
We get that.
That's a fact.
Yeah. And so I ended up doing that, scored I think within like the 97th percentile, and then got a full academic scholarship to Stanford University. Yeah, to finish out the rest of my undergraduate degree. So that's how I ended up there, and that happened like 9 months after I came home. Like that
Damn.
was immediate, basically. Yeah,
That's powerful, bro. And just goes to show you, like I said, man, like a setback is literally just a setup for something even greater coming up and
yeah,
type shit. And you
yeah,
proved that right then. So now, just to pivot a little bit and really focus now on where you're at today and the things you're doing, right? So is Stanford, does that become the bridge towards you getting your own business?
yeah. No, no, that's a good point, Trent. So Stanford, to be honest, like that is the heart of Silicon Valley. So you think about all the commercial like technology applications we use in our life, like they have some connection to that university. So you can think of the Instagram, Snapchats, like the list goes on.
Mm,
Netflix, right? Name it, right? Nvidia, right? Which is huge right now. Even like Facebook to some degree, they came out to, like Palo Alto, Stanford, just a ton of startups that have shaped our daily lives. And so there's a huge entrepreneurial, but like technology focus
mm,
culture at Stanford. Like that's my first time seeing a robot, seeing a drone, like all of that, man. Like
mm,
crazy.
mm,
Uh, but yeah, like the founders of YouTube and LinkedIn and all that, Yelp and right, DoorDash. They can keep
uh,
going. Like, they're
uh.
all alumni
They're all
of like
there. They're
they're
all
all
right there.
they're all there. So when you think of like when we come from the places we come from, our heroes like found a way to generate some kind of commercial activity and capture some financial returns. But that was usually through like the underground economy because we're locked out of these other wealth generating
Facts.
machines. But over
Facts.
there, like the wealth generating machine is like all technology, right? And they are
Mm,
unashamed about like putting everybody on. And so they encourage you to do that.
mm,
college education was like meeting these dudes who cashed out, built like, generation defining products, hundreds of billions of dollars. It's crazy, right?
Hundreds
And
of
so like that
billions of
was like
dollars. Oof.
yeah, that was my experience there. Just like, being in a bunch of early stage startups, even myself,
Question,
like I did.
real quick. I'm sorry, I just had this thought. So, how does that feel when hundreds of billions or millions of dollars is like what's talked about commonly as if it's nothing when we come from the communities where the goal is to make $1 million. And you feel what I'm saying? Like if you make the million where we from, it's like, oh, you made it. Did you show up in Silicon Valley and it's like a million? Like, what the fuck is a million? You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to be a unicorn here,
Yeah,
type shit. So, what's that do to your soul in your confidence in that space?
yeah. I think at first for sure it's shocking, man.
Mm,
Like
mm,
shocking, and like not just in a typical sense, but I think there's a word. It's called like stultify.
stultified.
I think that's there. Like unclear, like how to even proceed at first. So when I first got there, like within like 3 months, I'm seeing like my classmates like drop out and like create like come. This is crazy. So the pressure's there, but then it's like, hold up, there's nothing like fundamentally different about any of these people, right?
Talk that. Talk about it.
Right? So
Yep.
like, okay, you're able to do that, and like where we come from, like we don't have nearly as many resources, and we still are able to create and build and do stuff. We're just not able to like apply technology to it and get in the right channels so that it becomes what you're
Boom.
doing.
Right.
Yeah, like
Right.
that. It took me a while to grasp that, and
Mm-hmm.
then really having someone invite me into like the fold, right?
Mm,
Just
mm,
like totally random. Like you gotta be in the right place at the right time. But even if it's uncomfortable for you, if you know that's the environment you gotta be in, then I think that was one of the unlocks for me. And then another like startup founder was like, yo, like I'm doing this labor like startup. It was at Cornell. Like, don't they have like a labor school? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, you want to like come on board? And I'm like, I don't even know anything about this. And he was like, it doesn't matter. Like the only thing that matters is,
mm.
and this is
The
this is a
hustle.
white
The
boy.
hustle.
That's
Yeah.
my guy. He transferred in from Harvard. He was like hustle, not like coding, not like design. I mean, you need that too. Like I learned all that eventually, but he was like initially it's all hustle because you got
Bro.
to out hustle all these other like rich families and like their
Facts.
descendants. And that's when I
Yo,
was like, I bet, yeah,
bro, that's it right there. Yo, our listeners, if you don't catch nothing else from this interview, note that it comes down to the hustle. Like, are you willing to grind it out? And if you are, then if you were willing to grind it out on the black market, what we
yeah,
telling you right now, you got two brothers that's sitting here telling you if you're willing to put that same grind towards yourself for your personal development, for building a business, for going back and getting your education, you too can break all barriers because you got the hustle, something that most people don't have.
yeah. No, it's totally it. And then he was right. He was right. Like you'll learn all this stuff along the way,
That's a
right? Like if
fact.
you need to learn how to program and it's mission critical,
You're
like then
gonna
you'll
do it,
just do it. You'll just
right?
do it. You'll
Right.
do it. If you need to learn some other software, you'll just do it. If you need
Facts.
to learn like marketing, right? You'll just do it. Like if you know, okay, I have to do this. If I don't do it, then I lose. I'm not gonna lose, so I'm gonna do it. And that mindset really unlocks everything. And it was that simple, but you got to be in the right environment. That's one thing I will say. Around
Gotta
with
be in the
people
right
who
amount.
see that, recognize that, and then have systems to reward that handsomely.
Fact. And so, with that being said, what is Resume? And tell us a little bit about the company you built and where you guys at right now in terms of your where the company is at essentially.
No, I appreciate that. So even though I had those early stage like startup experiences, like I did music tech, we used to manage like Grimes, Take a J. Mind you, this is when Grimes was messing with
Mm-hmm.
Elon
Mm-hmm.
Musk, the
Mm-hmm.
manager and all that. Like I was like a
Yeah.
music tech. It's crazy, like the stuff
Yeah.
that go out there. I did like youth sports tech. These were like the former like execs from Disney. They wanted to do something around youth sports tech. I had joined that.
Mm.
um, yeah, just did like ran the gamut. And then during the pandemic,
Was that all for learning, networking, or a combination of both?
combination of both. It's just like trying to pursue. And whenever the opportunity came, I always say yes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
never deny the opportunity, right? Like I'm
Yes.
just gonna say like yes, right? And if that meant sacrificing something from like my personal or leisure activities, then like yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna cut that. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
cut that. Right? I think
Mm-hmm.
most of the time people take 2 or 3 opportunities and then use the rest of their waking hours for fun. But like
Fact.
we just lost a bunch of time. Like we just did 10 years, and I know the guys they got to combine 10,000 years. They got to make up for that. Got to
Mm,
make up for that.
mm,
That
mm,
was that was my perspective. So I got my hands in a ton of stuff, and then the pandemic happened, and that changed like the whole world basically. And so
mm,
I had to they shut down the school. All the international students went home, and so that's basically like my whole network like gone basically.
mm.
And so I had to get a job. Couldn't get a job, background checks and all kinds of stuff.
So the record came back haunt you
Record keep,
afterwards
yeah,
still.
yeah.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
all that, after all the,
Yep,
and I
yep.
had my undergraduate degree at this point, so I was like, competitive
Crazy.
with anyone you could think of, and it still didn't matter. And that's when I realized technology still is a part of this, like redlining, the denial of opportunity, like it's all still
Mm-hmm.
there. And that was a
Mm-hmm.
real aha moment for me. But I did end up uh, getting a job at Reddit, and this was during the like Wall Street bets kind of like saga. It was crazy, the crypto craze. It was what a time to be in tech, man. Just to be honest, Robin Hood and the
Mm-hmm.
AMC stuff, like it was wild. And so I ended up joining Reddit, and you know, told them about my background, all the startups I had been on, and they were like, "Man, we just want to win. Like, can you help us beat Facebook and Snapchat and Pinterest and TikTok?" And so I came in, and the team I was on, we made like $90 million that summer.
Damn,
In the summer,
damn. In the summer, right? Damn. Almost a
and then I
hundred
and then
piece.
I realized,
Uh.
well, Reddit's been they had been around for like 18 years at that point, but still, that's still crazy to me,
It
right?
is. It is.
And then seeing that, I was like, I'm going back to build like my own like startup, but
Yo,
around
bro, that's
yeah,
literally what it was like for me coming up, like in the corporate side. Like
yeah,
I remember, and it wasn't nothing like 90 mil, but I remember I was running this hotel and I took the hotel over. This hotel never did more than 400,000. For full context, the hotel was only a 21 room boutique, so it was a small
yeah,
hotel. My
yeah.
first year we did 1.2 million. My second year we did 1.5 million. So like you said, I'm like, yo, hold up. I could generate all this money for someone else. I need to make a play for myself. So it looks like you had that same kind of moment. Like, yo, we just ran up 900 M's. Like, I'm definitely going to go back to what I got to do type stuff. So I feel you. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I feel you.
Exactly. So that was the start of that, and then it was like, okay, what issue is still impacting like the people, right? Right. And I had seen it personally. It was really around like helping people get access to employment, education, or housing opportunities. And so we started creating software in that space. So whenever a background check comes up, or there's an issue about like your character or moral fitness, we basically integrate with whatever technology is doing that screening, filtering, and recruiting, and give the candidate who has had some justice involvement the chance to really advocate for themselves, chance to really put their best foot forward, you know,
How?
encourage.
How do
Yeah,
you do
so
that?
let's say you're applying for a job, right? And you get past the first few interviews, and they're like, "Oh man, you're an amazing candidate," because you probably are. And they're like, "Oh, you just have to like pass this background check. Everyone has to pass a background
Heart
check."
drops. Yeah,
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 you know,
yeah,
your mind,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so they'll send you the, but you probably take your chances on like, all right, well, let me
Mm-hmm.
see.
Mm-hmm.
You submit your stuff for the background check, and then it comes back negative. If you are living in certain like cities, because there's actual laws that prevent companies from just rejecting you because you have a background, right? So those are usually the major cities and regions of the world. So
Yep.
the Californias, New York,
New York.
Georgia,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania, right? Ohio. Like I keep going. There are a bunch of them. Washington. And so there are laws that are on your side. We equip you as like a candidate with the laws that you can use to leverage in that employment decision. Also informing the employer too, like, here's the law you're not supposed to violate. And then you're legally given the opportunity to provide additional documentation of your rehabilitation, your employability, everything you've done, and then your potential as a true job candidate that has nothing to do with your background. So we help collect that information and then submit that directly to whatever recruiting software or screening software that the organization, say that's an employer, a school, or a housing authority, is using to evaluate whether they're going to give you the opportunity or not.
Fire. And so essentially, is it because you know how if someone gets the background and then they send you a report and say you could you could like submit paperwork, or you could like rebuke this. So you guys essentially the ones that come in and make sure that the candidates are actually taking advantage of that opportunity, essentially.
Yeah, but also like even if you like you can challenge the accuracy of the report, but like
Hmm.
you still have to that has to get communicated to the employer or the
Right.
educational institution. Like
Right.
that's where the opportunity is at. Like
Yep.
you have to leverage that in a way that compels the other party to make the decision that's favorable to you, right? And so we're coming in like taking that information and directing it to the employer, to the educational institution, to the housing authority, to force them to make a decision that's legally compliant,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to be
Okay.
dealing with paper and mail, and who knows where it goes. And if the right person's seen, like we're going to make sure the right person sees this, right, and knows, you know, they should do the right thing, right? Because
That's right.
the law is on your side.
That's right. Yo, that's
Right?
powerful, bro. I love that. I love that. And it so I see what it's doing is actually just giving it more of an equal playing field. Because a
Yep.
lot of times, we know how it goes, criminal history comes in. Some people just don't even take it. Other people know, just like, yo, I know it's gonna come back. They don't even open that mail when that mail comes with the background. They just toss that. And
Yeah.
I don't know, from an employer side, I know most employers, as soon as they just see a background in their minds, it writes someone off. Like, we're gonna go in a different direction. But to your point, if we got this far and you basically was ready to offer me the job, by law, this shouldn't change nothing. And so
Yeah.
I love how you guys are coming back like, nah, let's put this right back in front of you, because by law, if at this point you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, you breaking law. And so holding them accountable too, both sides of the coin. So I love that, bro. I absolutely love that. And so now, are you at market right now with it? Are you working with employers and everything?
For sure. Our first like entry into the market was with a bunch of schools. So we
Mm,
started with Cornell University, mind you, across 7 different campuses, including New York City campus. Then we expanded into the State University of New York, so about 22 schools there.
Mooney,
Uh,
yep.
yeah, that was like our first use case. Had a bunch of schools in California through their Rising Scholars networks,
Mm,
ton of community colleges, and now I've started onboarding like employers, like very explicitly employers. So some tech companies in California, some manufacturing companies in Ohio, some transportation agencies in Philadelphia.
mm,
It's been
mm.
yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride. Yeah, just trying to create the ecosystem so that by the time people come home, right, 600,000 every year comes home. We want it so that if you apply for a job, you don't even have to know we exist. Like, and we're gonna be right in the background making
Mm,
sure that your
mm.
rights don't get violated.
Gotcha.
That's it for
So,
us. But yeah, we have to
so,
go for it.
so do people, so I'm coming home, I'm applying. Do I reach out to your organization and sign up, and that's how my stuff goes? Or is it really based upon the employers that I'm working with? Or can I say I got denied by employer and put it on your guys' radar, and that kind of, does that, like, how does it work from that standpoint?
All three, all three. So
Yeah,
we're
okay.
very shortly going to be inside of like the prisons on like tablets, so you can start creating your profile of rehabilitation, evidence of employability before you even go and apply for a job. So there's that. You could be on the outside, and if you're working with reentry org, especially in the major cities, there's a good chance that we have some connection there, and you can start getting your documentation ready for this moment when the background check comes back uh, with some issues or some concerns. That's one approach. But we know that there has to be a systems level change, right? And so we
Mm,
integrate with like
mm,
human resource systems. So like
mm,
Workday, ServiceNow, we integrate
mm.
with background check companies, Checker. We got some conversations going on with First Advantage
Love
as
it.
well. And so we are in the background of everything anyway. So whether you make a profile, whether you get on Raspberry or not, we encourage you to do that so you could get your documentation ready and have
Yep,
that
yep.
narrative, have that portfolio, right? To be ready to respond no matter where it comes in. It's really helpful in that sense. Helps with your digital presence as well. But
Yes, indeed.
we are going to be a part of the ecosystem around like recruiting and screening, but like in favor of individuals who truly turn their lives around. So whether that's from the background check company, like we're going to integrate with them, got those. Whether that's from the HR recruiting company, we integrate with them, and then recruitment on like the colleges and university side too. Like we're integrating with those systems, and so we'd be part of the invisible layer, but
Yeah.
helping the people instead of hindering them.
the new invisible bully that's helping the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, bro. I love it. You know what I mean? Yo,
Yeah.
I love it, man. And I just again, it's so inspiring to hear a young brother who came up like from Brooklyn all the way to New Mexico and upstate New York, foster care, jumped off the porch at a young age, incarcerated as a teen, went to max facilities, and then to be able to say, yo, this brother worked for Canal, graduated from Stanford, started a business in Silicon Valley, then used his connections right back to Cornell and some of those same spaces, SUNY's in New York State, to be able to establish what he's doing. And then, and now taking it the next step. And that's a blueprint for everyone to follow, though. That's why your network is key. Like your network is going to determine your net worth. And so you didn't just skate through and not get to know anybody and had your blinders on. You was connected with people. You was letting them know where you was headed. Now they see where you headed, they heard where you was headed, and now they jumping on that train because they believe in where you're going. And that's what business is, getting people to believe in what you're doing, branding yourself properly. And bro, so I just want to give you all of the flowers because then now it's not only about you, now it's about paying it forward. And yeah, there's gonna be some financial gain. We want you to win financially, because look at how many people you're about to be able to help through this process. And so, bro, I just want to give you your flowers for what you've done, man.
Nah, thanks for the intro. I didn't even realize until you kind of laid it out pretty methodically and succinctly as well, like the blueprint. But like the whole
The
time, it
blueprint.
is lining up those connections for like a larger play that didn't come until like 6 years later. But hearing you articulate that, even in my mind, I'm like, yeah. And looking back, you can connect all the dots and all the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, but you gotta move forward.
Gotta never stop, bro. Gotta never stop. How do you so where I know how do you spell it the website and all of those things for individuals so they have it?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's REZME, and you want to say dot app, so dot app. But there's like I feel there are some ways you could find like if you typed in like fair chance
Mm,
employment app, like will like pop up.
got you.
Or like if you go
Got
to
them
like
SEOs popping, huh?
yeah, like if you go to Workday, you put like Workday REZME, like will pop up because we're in like their like app store basically. Or if you there's another hack. If you put like NBA Resby, because we had won the NBA Foundation
Yeah,
championship.
congrats on
So
that. Yep, yep.
I
Talk
appreciate
that.
that. Yeah, no, no, that was crazy. We was at the All-Star game, like pitching a startup, and like everybody responded well to it, right? Because a lot of people in the league, like they come from the same communities we do. They happen
Facts.
to escape, but
That's a fact.
they resonate with them. Like, damn, my cousin, my brother, like my father,
Mm-hmm.
they all went through that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. The NBA gave us a ton of money. Like it's been wild. So we've been working with them too. So if you put in those keywords, like it'll pop up.
What Now that we're talking a little bit, like I want you to speak on it. Also, what about InvestFest? And for the listeners, if you don't know what InvestFest is, that's I think it's considered the largest black network of entrepreneurs. And annually, I think this was their fifth year in Atlanta, and I'm talking about everyone from Magic Johnson, Charlemagne the God. You're talking about John Hope Bryant.
Yeah, it's
We talking deep pockets, individuals who are super successful in business. How did you end up in that mix?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. First of all, that was my first time there too. So I got invited to speak at InvestFest around using technology to empower people's ability to meaningfully participate in the economy. Right? Like even when you think of like InvestFest, like I think on one end it's like, okay, I'm gonna like build a business or a startup, right? But there are multiple paths to doing that. Or I'm getting investments, etc. Like one way is like I need to create like economic activity in my own life,
Mm-hmm.
capture some of that to fuel like my own business, right?
Fact.
But first you
That's
gotta
a
get
fact.
into the economy, right? And for many of us that come home, we can't even get into the economy to generate any money to start the business in the first place or get a
So
loan or
true.
nothing.
So
And
true.
so that was my perspective coming in, like how we're building technology to enable people to get into the economy in the first place and then capture some of those gains and then funnel that into their own endeavors so that they can actually achieve, escape velocity and economic freedom. So that was my invite down there in Atlanta. It's only like my fourth time being in Atlanta. It was crazy. There was like 20,000 people there.
That look like us.
Yeah, that look just like us.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
The only I think the only Blanquito there was Jack Dorsey. You know?
And we'll welcome him. We'll welcome you, Jack. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You
yeah,
give us
yeah,
some Jews, and I know
yeah,
Hove's
yeah.
the man, so we'll welcome
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that was official. But no, you're right. It has been a crazy year. But you kicked us off though, Trent. Like in January of 2025,
January.
like even before
Yep.
the NBA thing, before Invest Fest, and yeah, bro. Like I appreciate all that. One thing I will say, like I think another reason that I came to Invest Fest, when you think of we'll say like black founders in America, I think less than 1% of them get like venture capital funding, and venture capital
Mm.
is they're the growth engine behind all these startups. So you think about Uber,
Yep. Yep.
right? Like how's Uber able to go from relatively unknown to everywhere, right?
Yep.
Airbnb,
Yep.
any like startup, you think of that's like a household name, DoorDash, etc. So venture capitalists inject tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into these companies
Mm-hmm.
to fuel their
Mm-hmm.
growth so that they're undeniable and ubiquitous. They're basically everywhere all at once, out of nowhere. And they typically don't make a lot of investments in people that look like us, right? I think
Yep.
one, because we're not over there enough, and then two, there are a lot of other barriers even before we get to raising money that prevent us from actually taking
Mm-hmm.
our ideas and then being able to execute on them. And so we officially, at least Resme is one of the less than 1% of companies that get venture capital funding. So that was a part of it
And
too.
so to take this all the way back to some of the stuff we said in the beginning, that's why we like them odds. Like them odds that we talked about before, bro. Like give us those minimal odds and see how we win every time, bro.
Yeah,
And that's a reflection of it, bro. You was able to tap into a market that less than 1% of people that look like us tap into, and I don't think it's no coincidence of how you've been able to do that based upon what you shared with us today. And I
got you.
also, for our listeners, I hope this is encouragement to show like you can be the 1%. Just because they say others haven't done it doesn't mean you're not the one that could do it. Like the only word, only when you hear stuff like that, like you said earlier, like I like those odds. If you give me any percent, I'm gonna bet on myself. I like that odd. And I think that's has to be the mentality. Like if I'm a 99% odds or a 1% odds, I like my odds. Like it don't even matter what I'm up against. Because that's the confidence that I have in myself and also the belief that I know I'm not gonna stop. Like, and I think as long as you don't stop, you can figure it out and get to where you want to go. And Jody, I think you are a prime example of that, my brother. For real, for real. And
Appreciate that.
so I like to try to keep these short and tasteful where it's not too much. I know some podcasts they go for hours. I try to keep ours around 40, 45 minutes. And so with that being said, we're around the 48-minute mark. So I do want to wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, there's one question I always like to ask our listener, our guests. And my question to you and to all of our guests that's been on is looking back at where you are today, if you had one piece of advice that you would be able to give to the incarcerated Jody of that first incarceration, what would that one piece of advice be back to your younger self?
Continue to pursue the unconventional,
Mm,
right? If you're doing
mm,
something that doesn't match the environment, do that.
mm, mm. That's powerful. That's powerful. Make your own path. Don't follow the path that was already out there. That's a
Yeah,
fact. And so, Jody, tell them where they can find you, your handles on social, what social medias you are.
yeah. I think if you type in Jody Anderson Jr. on Google, it'll all pop up every time.
Right.
There isn't another one.
Every time. Google boo. I like it. I like it. And you already gave the where they could find the company, but you did mention you guys are on the tablets or going to be on the tablets. Is there
Oh
a
yeah,
particular app that you guys are under?
I think it's gonna be through Adobe. I think we're gonna go
Adobo. Oh, that's
through
perfect.
Adobe.
So anywhere you're hearing this, you can find Jody's
Yeah, lock.
organization. Anywhere you're listening to this right now, you can find them guys. And so, guys, uh, today we're blessed to be able to connect and talk with someone who's part of the 1% in more ways than one. This is a young man who's still getting to it. He's out there on the West Coast, Silicon Valley, putting work in a space where you don't see people like him. So I want to encourage him and send as much love as we can to keep going, keep putting up that fight for us all. I hope that you take away the resilience and follow the blueprint that Jody was able to lay out today for you guys. And I hope you remember that change happens from within, both literally and figuratively. And so the amount of work that you're putting in right now is going to be the outcomes that you get for yourself. And you could do that while you're behind the wall or while you're behind the gate. That change, it happens anywhere. And so continue to invest in yourself, continue to put yourself first, continue to be exploratory. And, you know, as we always say, you could be anywhere, you could be doing anything, but you're here with us right now. And so we really appreciate you. And from Prison Bosses, continue to hold your head, all of you guys out there. Jody, thank you again, brother.
Nah, you got it.
And so